My name is President of North America for Pixellot, and I'm going to be hosting us today. So to start a little bit about Pixellot, to put this in perspective for you, I'd like to take you through a quick thought exercise. I know that everybody on the call here is either managing a venue or you've got some type of sports experience. So I want you to think back on your playing experience, whether that was youth sports, high school sports, for some of you, maybe even college sports. And think about that moment you had as an athlete. Where were you? What was the outcome of the game? And also, how many times have you told that story to somebody else from that moment? Was it youth sports? Was it high school sports? Was it college sports where you had that real memorable moment? For 99% of us, it was probably high school or youth sports. Very few played professional sports or in a Power 5 conference. And so that life-changing moment is really a distant memory for most of us. Video most likely wasn't captured of that event. If it was captured, it was probably your parent that captured it with a cell phone or a camcorder, depending on when that moment was. I think I cut out at the pinnacle of the story there, but I'm back now. So that youth sports or high school moment that you had, now imagine that ESPN was there and captured it. So you've got, a great memory of that experience. That's what Pixellot is doing. So we've built technology to be able to capture every single game, every single moment, whether that's in high school sports, youth sports, college, professional, so that everybody can have that to share with the next generation, with their kids, their family members, etc. So this is really what Pixellot has been working to do. We're democratizing sports production. In the past, production was really on the right side of this curve, right? Where you have a big audience, you've got a lot of ticket dollars, you've got a lot of sponsorship money coming in, and you can warrant an expensive production. Now with AI production and what Pixellot's doing, we're opening the gates for everything down to the left side of this screen, where you have more events, because there's a lot more kids playing at the high school and youth level, but there's not quite as many people at each event. So that's where we've really brought an efficient and scalable production model to those organizations and leagues. A little bit about Pixellot. We've been around for 7 years now. We have about 170 employees. Our technologies installed at 15,000 fields and venues across the world. About 70% of those are in North America. We've produced over 1 million live sports events, and we have unique algorithms for 15 different sports. Now, the reason that I share these numbers in terms of the venues and number of games we've produced is everything that we do is based off of AI and machine learning. So with every game we produce, our production gets better and better because we can see the mistakes that were made and adjust the algorithms to correct for that in future games. So getting to that number of 1 million games was really monumental for us because it means we've got that much data to improve our algorithms and production. These are some of the select partners that Pixellot has. We've worked with ESPN, college level, and even NBA Summer League to produce events. Our largest partner in the United States is the NFHS network, which is essentially like a ESPN Plus network for high schools. The NFHS is the National Federation of High Schools. They have our technology installed on 10,000 fields across the country. Any given night, we're producing 3,500 games in US high schools. And then some of the venues more similar to the group that's on the webinar here are the logos on the bottom line: Basketball City, which is an 8-court basketball facility in New York City; ESPN Wide World of Sports, which has about 25 of our systems in Orlando, Florida; Horizons Edge Sports Camp is a facility in Virginia; and we have about 20 other multi-surface venues as well that have our technology. This just shows you a little example. I'm assuming the video is a little choppy over Zoom because it usually is. But what you can see here is the automatic production. The viewer is only seeing roughly a third of the field where the ball and the action is. The scoreboard in the top left is 100% automated. So we're able to pull the data from the scoreboard in the venue and create a graphic like you see in the top left here. This shows you how the technology is working. So our system is installed at midfield. It's a 4-camera head that's capturing a quadrant of the field. And then really the magic behind what we're doing is stitching those 4 cameras together to create a very high quality panorama like you see in the video below, and then moving to where the action is so that the viewer is not seeing that panorama where it's very zoomed out and wide angle. They're actually zoomed in and seeing where the action is. So this shows you what the algorithm is doing. It's tracking who's in play, who's out of play throughout the entire flow. So the players with X's, it's identified are out of action, so the end user wouldn't see it. And then the pink and red box is what the broadcast view would end up being. We also give our customers a tactical view, which is every player in the view, and a panorama, so that you could use those from a coaching perspective if you have that need. The newest thing we're doing is tracking the players through optical recognition. So we're tracking the uniform number throughout the entire state of play, like you see on the left. And then what that gives us the ability to do is to create personal highlights so that you can watch just number 17's baskets or just number 10's baskets after the game and get highlight clips that can be used for website, social media, etc. We're also doing a condensed game. So you would see a basketball game in 8 to 10 minutes, which is just every basket scored. So if you don't want to watch the full hour and a half or 2-hour game, you can see just the baskets scored of the whole team. So this gives you just a short overview of the 2 main products that we have for multi-surface venues. You've got a 2-camera system, which just has a camera pointed at each half of the court or field, and then a 4-camera system. The 4-camera system is slightly higher quality because you have more cameras on the field, but both of these give you the ability to live stream, to produce as much content that's taking place in your venue. They can both be either indoor or outdoor. They're made to be in the elements year-round. We have systems in Minnesota through -20-degree weather and out there in the snow, and they've been on those fields for 4 or 5 years and continue to work. The computer system that does the processing does have to be indoor, but it can be far away from the camera head. One of the more recent things we've done is launched an OTT solution, which gives you the ability to have an end-to-end solution. We capture the video with our software and hardware, but then we also give you an ESPN Plus type of network where you have the infrastructure on the web, an Android and iOS app that's completely white labeled for you. So Pixellot is nowhere on that website. You pick the colors, you pick the logos, you decide on the pricing, whether it's pay-per-view, whether it's per event, whether it's a monthly or season subscription. All the money that comes through the OTT flows directly to your venue. So the last thing I want to talk about is just the importance of automated video in the times that we're in today. So as I'm sure everybody's experienced having to close your venue for a period of time, when you've reopened, if you have reopened, having to have strict restrictions. So what we give you the ability to have is increased fan safety. So now you can have an event with just players, no fans allowed, and now at least the fans can still watch all the games from home or from the parking lot, wherever they might be. They can have on their cell phone, desktop, stream it through Apple TV or some device onto their big screen. Athlete safety, having less people in the venue obviously makes it more safe for the athletes. And then probably the biggest and most important thing here is a diversified revenue stream. So instead of just relying on gate revenue, concessions, sponsorship, we give you the ability to add another big revenue bucket, which is streaming and subscription, also really expanding the reach of your sponsorship. Now you can sell a sponsor on a lot more eyeballs because it's not just the people in your venue, but it's all the community members, family members that are going to be able to watch online all the content there. And through sponsorship, we have the ability to put watermarks in the video, 30-second pre-roll, post-game, even mid-roll, where you can run in video ads into the video as well. Expanded reach of the content. Now you can have a lot more content to put on your website, social media, to drive more events, more tournaments, more participation to your venue. And then finally, cost savings. There's no cheaper solution to generate high quality video than what Pixellot offers. So now I want to turn it over to Frank and do a brief introduction. Frank is a partner of ours. He's the owner of Jet Media Stream. Frank's the president and founder there. He has over 25 years of live sports and post-production experience. In 2007, 14 years ago, he started Jet Media, which has been an early adopter and leader in streamlined technology-driven mobile production. He and his team produce over 300 live events each year. Frank's first job in TV was with CBS Sports. He also spent time at the NCAA and has had a leadership role in launching CSTV, as well as working on several ESPN 30 for 30 broadcasts. So with that, I want to turn it over to Frank.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Hello, everyone. As Dave mentioned, I'm a TV sports producer by trade. I have a pedigree in sports production, and that's really my background. I have 2 production trucks that are on the road almost every day from September to May. We have a team of production people. This is all prior to the virus. And then since 2010, that was our business model of doing games, producing games for local regional sports networks, and until COVID hit. And then during the lockdown, we were searching for ways to pivot our business as the college sports TV market really ground to a halt. And we started just doing a lot of research. And I have a son who actually plays AAU basketball, and I have a relationship with the gym owner. And we started talking, and we realized that, parents are not going to be allowed back in the gym, and there's a great need for live streaming of youth sports. So we became aware of Pixellot. We actually first started looking at PTZ cameras. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but they're cameras that you mount on the wall, and you control it with a kind of a joystick, and you need someone there controlling it. It's kind of automated, not really though. And there were some issues with that, and we realized that we really needed and the PTZ solution also didn't have a whole streaming system attached to it, and we'd have to really think about how to create all of that. So we realized we needed an automated camera system with an automated streaming OTT. And so we compared and we became aware of Pixellot, and we compared it and contrasted to other brands. And it became very clear to us that Pixellot really checked off all the boxes for us. And I can list some of them. I mean, for one thing, the cameras with the AI tracking, I know on the Zoom, you really can't see as well as the video, gets compressed, but the cameras really work great. The panning is smooth. We can adjust the colors. The picture is clear. We can control a lot of the settings. And for someone like me with a background in TV production, it was important that we have a little bit of control over how they look. But the tracking really is amazing. There's a clock and score integration. You saw there on the soccer. It has the clock and score graphic on the top left. For us, we want to give the customer a TV-like experience. Having the clock and score with the team names and accurate data feed, it adds a level of production values that other systems just don't have. The live streaming platform, Pixellot has developers to build out the website, the white labeling, and build out the iOS and Android app. It makes things very simple for us that everything's under one roof. We didn't have to piece the whole thing together with various vendors, an app developer, a website developer, et cetera. And there's a back-end infrastructure that manages scheduling, payment, streaming, and really the other half of the streaming beyond the cameras. You need a system in place, and the Pixellot system works great for us. We're doing about 250 games a week, and it's a heavy load. We have since everything opened up in January, I think we have about 7,500 accounts of separate purchases, and the system handles it smoothly. And the other thing that was important to us was redundancy. There's a lot of built-in redundancy with the Pixellot system. The phone apps are on a separate server, so that's good redundancy. The games are recorded. We can send files for people to download. The panoramic feature gives you the whole court. And so if the tracking misses something, the panoramic will have it. So if there's that's happened to us where the panoramic look caught a half court shot that the tracking didn't quite get. So the redundancy was important. And again, for my TV background, having redundancy is really important. So we started, as I said, on January 2nd. We had 3 venues, 7 basketball courts. We were expecting a few hundred parents would buy a subscription, but you know, I was really trying to be conservative in what our expectations were. But we got thousands of purchases. It was amazing. We were really blown away by how many purchases we got. You know, and I'm sure some of you may have seen, you know, parents outside the venue, everyone's on their phone, they're all watching, everyone's in their car watching. And we really, you know, we were flying out of the gate. We didn't hit the ground running, we were just flying. And we learned some lessons. I mean, we've been doing this now for a couple of months. Customer service and tech support is huge. We have we're monitoring every game that's going on for the venue. We have customer service and tech support in place. And we get inquiries. There's a big learning curve for parents to go through, as for many, this is a brand new thing for them. And we realized that customer service and tech support was going to make or break us, because we didn't want to have a bad rollout. That can have a detrimental lasting effect. We don't want it. We really knew we were introducing something new. And if you come out of the gate stumbling, and it's just not good. Parents talk, and you know, so we really wanted to come out smoothly. We respond to inquiries very quickly, and parents appreciate it. And we're taking a very long view on our platform. We realize that eventually crowds are going to be allowed back into these gyms. Right now in New Jersey, the governor has allowed a certain number back in, up to, I think, 35% capacity. So, you know, eventually that's going to go up higher and higher. And we want to give our customers as much value as we can, so that they'll remain a subscriber even when they're eventually allowed to be back in the gym. And this is what's great about Pixellot also. There's a lot of value. The clock and score is something I mentioned, the phone apps, and the panoramic viewing. You have that wow factor, you know. When you watch on the panoramic viewing, the first thing you want to do is show your friend and say, wow, look at this, look at this. I can use my phone and do a little virtual reality, and you can record clips and share. That's another thing that's really cool, is that you can record clips and make a little clip reel of your son or daughter or whoever. And there's just a lot of things a customer is getting beyond the live stream that will keep them as a customer when the crowd ban is lifted. And as Dave mentioned, it's another revenue stream for people not attending your gym. You know, you're gonna get people that will never take a step into your venue giving you money, essentially. I mean, you have grandparents from other states that are going to watch their granddaughter or grandson play. And these are people that will never have gone to your venue, and you're going to get revenue from them. We knew this was going to happen, but we hear from a lot of people outside the area that are watching, and it's surprising to hear it. And the other thing is just customers are demanding. You know, we've spoken about this on my end with my team, and as soon as you start charging for money, you know, like it or not, you're going to be compared with Netflix, Amazon, ESPN Plus, et cetera. We're charging money for live streaming, and these customers want what they paid for, and rightly so. You know, the games have to go well. I mean, I get the same feeling when I'm doing a game for ESPN as I do on a Saturday when we have all these games going on. I mean, we're live on the air all day long in 9 venues. And if there's a problem, we have to solve it. We have to fix it immediately. And sometimes problems happen. My background, as I said, is in live sports, and this is like live TV sports, and that anything can happen, but you have to respond quickly, and the customers appreciate it, because if you don't respond quickly, you're going to hear it from your customers. And so for us, Jet Media Stream, we purchase and install the cameras. We handle all the scheduling for the venue. We handle all the customer support and the tech support. And we service the facility, as we have technicians that can show up to fix a system within an hour or two. And we basically provide a turnkey solution for gyms, so they don't have to hire additional employees. And at the same time, we give a very generous revenue share with no cost on the facility. So that's it for me. Thank you. And I'll throw it back to Dave.
Thanks, Frank.
Sure.
Great overview. We have a couple questions starting to come in. The first one is from, and this is for you, Frank, from a production standpoint, how do the Pixellot cameras stack up to traditional production?
I mean, it's HD. It's 720 HD. There's no difference. It depends on, of course, whoever is watching, on how strong their Wi-Fi is. If they're on cell service and the cell service is not great, then you might get some buffering and things like that. But the picture quality is great. It's broadcast quality production.
Great. And then obviously your business has changed a lot. If you go back to March of last year, when all the leagues started to shut down. So walk us through a little bit your thinking process on how you looked at evolving your business from March to June, when there were no events. Then events started to come back with limited production staffs, et cetera, in June, to where you are today with using Pixellot in many venues.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you said, I was doing 250 to 300 games a year. I have 2 production trucks that from September to June are going every other day. So I have production teams all over the place, and I'm on the firing lines of production. So all of a sudden, when it just comes to a complete halt, it's you're adjusting. And I've always been someone that kind of I don't dwell in what has happened. Let's look where we are and let's move on, and let's assess where we are and see where we can go from here. So we tried some virtual events. We did some webinars and things like that, and we just kept looking and looking, and we never stopped. And and then it occurred to us, we became aware, as I said, we became aware of Pixellot and realized that there's a great need. So we never stopped looking, and that's really how it happened.
Great. And then there's another question that came through here. Can we see the back-end software illustrating the various payment options for providing live stream matches, also the cost and revenue breakdown? So I'll take that one. I'm not able to just come out of go into the back end right now and bring it up, but we can do a demo for you later on, Peter, if you'd like. I will say that there's a lot of flexibility with the payment types. So for example, Frank, the way he uses this is he charges $6 if you're buying just a game day subscription. So you want to go in the morning, get the games for that day. Then the other subscription type he has is a season pass. So that's more for like a league setup where you're playing, let's say, for 3 months, and you're at the gym twice a week and have games. And for that, Frank, you're charging $40 for the season, right?
Right. That's like
those price. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's about a 9-week season.
Got it. And those price points with Pixellot are not fixed at all. I mean, it's really up to the partner, either the venue or in this case, Frank, to decide how much you want to charge and with what frequency. So a couple other questions here, and a reminder to type your questions into the Q&A section on the bottom of the screen if you've got other ones that come in. But Frank, I'm curious if you have received, not from the end user like a hoop heaven that you're working with, but more from a parent or coach perspective. What's been some of the feedback? Maybe you can share an example from one coach that has come to you that they've shared about the service that you're now offering.
I mean, they love it. They I know one coach, and he, as soon as he gets home, he starts watching it again. So and I've heard that from parents too. They love being able to watch, and they can, and that the whole family watches. That these are, it's kind of funny that an entire family can now watch someone play, which they weren't able to do before. So I've heard from one family say they've gotten 5 separate accounts for grandparents, their family, everybody. So they're all watching. And coaches, they love it. And also being able to mark plays. You can rewatch and tag plays and make a little, and then at the very end, you hit this little film strip and it'll make a clip reel of all the plays that you've tagged. And for me, I'm a basketball guy. If I had this when I was young, I would have watched myself over and over. It was it's really amazing that you can essentially record every single thing going on your gym floor.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Another question that came through from Nick: do the cameras have physical video outputs, SDI or HDMI? Also, do you have audio inputs on the cameras for announcers and or natural game sounds? So I can address that. We do have SDI output if you want to be able to have that. With one of the systems, it's an add-on. With one of it comes built in, so it depends what system you get. In regards to audio inputs, there's 2 different options. One, if you have the announcers on site, we do have the audio plugin. It's an XLR where it's very easy to plug in and have commentating on site. We also have a technology that we've integrated with where you can actually have remote broadcasting. So you could have somebody at their house watching the game and doing the announcing from there and have it feed into the system so that it's all timed up together and there's no delays or the sound's not off with the video. You also have the ability to have ambient noise, so the camera picks up, the squeaking of the shoes on the floor, some of the talking that's going on the floor, which I think adds a lot to the broadcast if you're not going to have an announcer. So all of those are options. Frank, do you want to say anything else on that front?
Yeah, we haven't used any of the announcers, but I know that there are some of the high schools that some of the NFHS people have used have had announcers, student announcers and whatnot implemented into the system. So yeah. I do know that that's been used.
Another question here: do you have a sense for the conversion rate? That if there's, let's say, 1,000 kids in league play, how many of those 1,000 families are purchasing subscription?
That's a tough one. I don't know that. I do know you can figure out how much money a game a game can generate. And generally speaking, it's hard to put a number on it, but you could be looking at least $40 per game that you could be bringing in over the course of the season. Now you get a sort of beginning of the season, it's high, and then it goes down as the season goes, because you get so many people that buy, in my model, a season pass at the beginning. So as each game goes by, but then, it just becomes more day passes. But, you could I look at it not so necessarily on how many people are buying it, but just how much money are you getting per game as you go.
And then another question here, Frank, that I'd like you to address is: how do you protect from people sharing their username and password? So let's say, the team, one person buys it and then shares it with the 10 other parents on the team. How do you protect against that?
Well, the system allows one username and password per device, and that username password cannot be used at the same time on another device. So if I'm using my username password on my laptop right here, no one else can use my username password while I'm on. So the username password is transferable to someone else, but they cannot watch at the same time as you.
Great. Mm-hmm. And then there's a couple questions in regards to highlights here. So one is, what format will player clips be recorded in? So there's two ways that you can share and use player clips. One, you could download an MP4 file to be able to use and have native on your computer. The other is you can generate a link through Pixellot to be able to share that. So you get your unique link that you could either put on social media or share in an email or put on a website. So you've got either of those options. Another question is, how quickly can you turn around highlight packages? If league games are on a Sunday, for example, when would highlights of those games be available? So I can answer that one too. So the highlights that are user generated, where a parent wants to create their highlight, they're available immediately. So as soon as it could be live, that they're watching it and tagging that play, they get the highlight. If you're referring to the condensed games that I went over, where you see the baskets from the whole game, that's typically available within 60 to 90 minutes of when the game is complete. So we're a little bit past the half hour. If there's any last minute questions, please type them in right away. I will say in closing that if any of you are interested in exploring what this would look like for your venue, certainly reach out to Stephen or myself. My email is davids@pixellot.tv if you want to talk to me. Also, if your venue is interested in working with Jet Media Stream, you can reach out to Frank. If you contact me, I can put you in touch with him. Frank's business model, as he mentioned, is essentially they make the investment in Pixellot. So they pay for the hardware, the software, and then they do a rev share with your venue. So there's no investment on your end. You get to share in the upside, but you don't control 100% of the revenue. Obviously, Jet Media needs to recoup their investment in the technology. So either one of those options, if you want to bring video to your venue, we're happy to explore with you. And thanks again for taking the time to join us here. Frank, thank you very much for leading the discussion.
Thank you.
We're very proud of our partnership with Jet Media and all the success that you're having.
Thank you, Dave. I really appreciate it. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the afternoon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.